Good week, really good week. I thought they responded correctly from the previous Saturday as a whole. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday practice was really good work. Thursday was a recovery day, and then Friday was majority special teams, and then came out here today, I thought, with the right attitude and right mentality. Plenty of things to clean up on both sides of the ball. I thought the defense did a great job with just ball excellence, taking it away. Had some early fumbles by the offense, which is not a sign of playing winning football on that side, but I thought the offense recovered in the red area portion of the scrimmage. Did a nice job scoring some touchdowns. But all in all, I thought we had a really good week and thought the guys got better as a whole.
What's the latest update on Afari after the court ruling on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, it's TBD. You know as much as I do, So it's we'll monitor it and act accordingly. He was obviously practicing with us and getting prepped, but I think everybody's still in limbo trying to figure it all out and waiting for these rulings to happen. So we will be ready to roll whenever whatever side is ruled on.
Did that change his practice at all?
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to practice with a guy that's not eligible to play, so he's not out there today, but, play with the guys we got.
On that note, is there an emphasis to push for a separate ruling, or just kind of wait and see how the Colorado ruling goes when they?
That's all on him. I can't guide him in any way. So I think he's probably got a good grasp on it, and so we're just trying to wait and see.
As a head coach, how do you deal with that uncertainty? That's got to be driving you crazy, right?
Not really. We've had the same team now since January, so Alex was a later addition. So those guys have done a really good job, and I think Bo Barnes and Grant Godfrey and Antoine Smith has become more physical, which is great. Tavion Wallace is still learning as a young freshman, so play with the guys you got, and you rock and roll.
Will, in a world without redshirting, does that change the way you coach your true freshmen especially?
I don't think so. I mean, I think any program I've been a part of, you want to, there's certain positions that are developmental and certain positions that aren't. You think about O-line, D-line, just the size and strength that are, 22-year-old men up there compared to an 18-year-old freshman. It's just tougher that way. Skill usually can play a little bit earlier, so we want to push those guys. I mean, our job is to get these freshmen to work to be in the two deep, and in the day and age of where we're at, you got to push them to play now. So it doesn't necessarily change anything.
What do you see from getting Mitchie in the two scrimmages, and especially week 1 to 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first week was just, I think it was the offense as a whole struggled just to really get going. Today, I thought he did a nice job of throwing the ball where we were supposed to. There were some drops that, are out of his control. But I thought for the most part today he played within himself and went where the ball was supposed to go. He's still a guy that hasn't played and started games. So there's going to be some growing pains in practice to get him to where he needs to be. But Kenny's had an elite camp. He's had a really good camp. He's improved. I thought he had his best week of practice. And scrimmages are a little bit weird. It's not the real flow of the game. Joe and Jay are calling all the plays, where typically when you're a coordinator, you get a little bit of a break in the action and you can regroup and create a script for the next drive. In scrimmages, you're just calling one play after another. So it's a little bit unrhythmic for play callers and quarterbacks at times, but I thought, the majority of the day he did a good job.
Will, the fumbles that you mentioned, were those unnecessary errors by the offense, or was that a positive defensive score to take?
I mean, you never want to put the ball on the ground as an offensive player, and that's stuff that we can control. We preach ball excellence all the time on both sides of the ball, getting takeaways on defense and protecting the football on offense. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword for me. I want to see the defense take the ball away, but I want to see our offense protect the ball. So I think when it's in our control, that's when it is not good. And so I didn't think our backs did a good enough job today protecting the football. But kudos to the defense as well for getting takeaways.
How's the wide receiver room coming along throughout camp in these scrimmages?
They've done a good job. I think there's some really good, talented players in that room. Again, a lot of unproven production. I mean, the most returning production from last year's squad, I believe, you guys can fact check me, is DJ Miller, and he had 13 catches for 175 yards. So Shane Carr coming in with a lot of production. Nick Anderson over the course of his career has been productive, but it hasn't been as of late because of injury. Where I like guys like Jacaden Ferguson with some big upside. I like Kenny Darby. I mean, that guy is super talented. Prince Gene has had a really great camp. Brock Kaufman is super reliable. So there's some guys, I would say kind of the no-namers that people don't really know yet that I'm really excited about. So, again, they're young and they're talented, but unproven.
Well, the guys you told us on media day would be limited. Are you confident those guys are going to be available week 1, or are any of them kind of leaving?
Yeah, 100%. Tegra went today. CJ Baxter, we ramped him up this week, so he was getting real reps with our team. Vontae's still limited. Trying to think some other guys. Nick was running routes this week, which is really positive. He was out there pre-scrimmage running full speed. And, when we have our full strength, we look like a real SEC team. We're really big up front. We got big receivers, big tight ends and backs. So it's just about managing those guys' workload. And I think we've done a really good job of as staff being on the same page, pushing them to where we need to get them to be, playing week 1. I think so far so good with all those players.
Staying on the injury front,
Is this the
second scrimmage, this is the
last one? And then also, coming out of these 2 scrimmages, how's everyone feeling? I assume no season-ending injuries, all that stuff.
To answer your first one, this is the last scrimmage. We'll do a mock game next week where we will rehearse everything that we do the following Saturday. I'm going to take them to the team hotel. I'm going to let them see the meeting rooms. We're going to bus back over here, do a fake catwalk and fake high-five people, and then we are going to do a complete pregame mock-up and then run through a mock game on air. So I want these guys to be prepared about where they're going to be in the locker room, how it's going to be pregame, how it's going to be at halftime, so these guys are ready to roll. In terms of coming out clean, the only season-ending one would be Tavani Mazel. So that happened last week. So it's really disappointing for him more than anything. Guys battled a lot of injuries here and honestly had just a string of bad luck. It isn't for a lack of want to or working through. He's had some really unfortunate injuries. So he got surgery this past week, and we're praying for him and there for him. So it really sucks for him.
Well, you have 2 weeks until Youngstown. You talked about your staff. You've got all these good people around you. What do you think the team needs most from you as their head coach?
I think just consistency. My greatest strength is my passion, and it's my greatest weakness as well. I think being aware of your greatest weaknesses is huge. And so in heat of the moments, just staying even keel and not being emotional. It's easier said than done, especially when there's 70,000 fans in the stands and a lot riding on each game. But just being present in the moment, not worrying about what could happen or being fearful of results, but being aggressive, playing to win, and being even keel.
Will, as you get into game preparation, is your role, because of your background, will you be more with the offense, or you send a message by spending a whole lot of time with the defense? How do you see, your role in the game prep?
I'll be significantly with the offense. I'll have nightly meetings with Jay and his staff just to review what they see. I'll build cut-ups myself for them to, hey, this play might be coming against you guys versus these looks. But a majority of my time will be in game prep with the offense. But, again, when you don't call the plays on Saturdays, you got to be well-versed in offense, defense, special teams, game management, timeouts, the flow. So, I would say majority of my time is going to be with our offense.
well, following up on that, has there been an offender or 2 that's really impressed you during these practices?
A defensive player?
Defensive player, yeah. Just because spending so much time with the offense.
Yeah, I'm during practice I split time going on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, I pretty much referee the practice between the 2. And listen, I want our defense to be as good as our offense. The best teams I've been on have had elite defenses, so I really like what Jay's doing on that side of the ball. There's a handful of guys. I even think about, Grant Grayton has had a really good camp. He's a guy I don't think anybody talks about, but he's got length. He's played corner. I think he's versatile. He makes plays on the football. That's a guy I'm really excited about. Marquise Humphrey-Grace he's a beast. He's an NFL player. He's really taken another step. CJ Works this week, I think, took another step at edge, which we need those guys to play well. So, yeah, I mean, I think the defense as a whole has done a really good job. And I think the way that Jay coaches those guys, how he plans, how he preps, how he calls it, it makes it really hard on offenses.
Will, you've had success at other places with quarterbacks who have transferred, get the fresh start. What is the message to guys like that? I know they're all individual, for them and for Kenny, to not put too much pressure on themselves to prove themselves, even though it is another opportunity.
For sure. I mean, that's playing quarterback as a whole. Even the best players, it's just about taking the easy money. You don't have to force plays down the field. You don't have to get antsy. If you just make the correct play each time, the ball's going to move forward. So that's not just with new players, young and old. It's playing quarterback. It's it's an art and a science. You got to understand the down and distance. You got to understand the situation, and you got to play to that situation. And know that you have really good players around you. When you got a great offensive line and good tight ends and backs and receivers, you're the point guard. And so I don't want Kenny to feel like he's got to go win us a game. There's going to be times in the game where he's going to have to go make plays. But the key, I think, for all young quarterbacks is to know that more quarterbacks on Saturdays lose the game for their team than they do win it. I mean, it's true. Same with Friday nights and Monday evenings, freshman football, like more of them lose it than they do win it with making bad decisions, with putting the ball in jeopardy, with not using their legs when they have to. So shit happens on Sundays too. So that to me, when you can eliminate the bad first, that's when you can take another step as a quarterback.
How has he looked to that end so far?
I mean, I think he's looked really good. He's done a good job of taking care of the football. We really stressed to him this week more than ever, we need to see you use your feet. You have good skill with your feet. So run, push the pocket and run. Because, he's got in a black jersey in practice, so he can't get touched. But he can still learn to push the pocket and go take off. That has to happen for us. The best guys in the country and in the world can use their feet to go get first downs.
What did you see from the last one? 2 new running backs, the JUCO guys, from the first scrimmage to the second?
They've improved. They still have room to grow. Amir's a smaller, quicker back, and Jordan's a bigger, more physical guy. I think, basically coming off of a break in action like they did just to show up at fall camp, I commend those guys for their toughness. They haven't barely missed a rep. They go every day. But we need to keep pushing them, but we need to keep pushing CJ and Martell's and Jason Patterson and those guys and getting Vontae back for us to be at full capacity.
Okay, folks.
Okay, thank you.
We'll have coordinator receiver following up.
Well, I think relative to last scrimmage, I thought we just lined up significantly better. You know what I mean? Just in terms of like lining up our operation. Obviously last Saturday we came in, we talked about that. I thought the kids worked hard on it throughout the week, which was really good. So that was considered. I thought again we were getting movement up front, and that's so good, right? Like, that's going to be critical. When CJ was out there, it was really fun to see. I thought he brings a different element to what we're doing, which is great. And I thought Kenny looked a lot more comfortable today. We can still be more explosive in the passing game than but I thought he looked significantly more comfortable. We made some plays down the field. I thought some guys, there's a couple guys that really made some plays down the field, which was nice. But ultimately, the biggest thing that was the takeaway was, which we haven't done throughout tackle situations, was we put the ball on the ground a couple times. And if you do that, you won't play, right? So that's just that simple. But outside of that, I thought there were some really good situational things, some guys taking advantage, some really good work, and a big improvement that we carried throughout the week and into Saturday.
Coach Stein was just mentioning an emphasis this week to get Kenny to be more mobile, since he can't get hit, so he might as well run. Just wanted to get your thoughts. I know he's probably certainly not Jaden Daniels, but he's certainly a little bit more athletic than Nussmeier.
Yeah. Jeez, golly, Garrett's taking shots in here. That's all right. He deserves them. I'll call and tell him. but I thought he ran. Our goal for him has been he's got to go run 4 or 5, somewhere between 5 and 8 times a game. So to see him, he had a big scramble for about 40 in a 2-minute today. I thought he had a couple vertical scrambles that took us out of maybe a 0 yardage play, put us into 2nd and 6. Type situations, which is huge. That's what he needs to do. He's mobile, and then he allows us the ability to read the C gap at quarterback, which I think he's done all week, and did a nice job this week. That's where we were able to get some good runs vertically on the backside because our ends have slowed down, because of what he did. So he's carried that in the scrimmage. That was nice to see, right? He's using his feet. I think he's got to just continue to do it. That's the hardest part about quarterback when you're not in a game situation for a guy who hasn't played games for a while. You're in a jersey here. It's black, right? Notre Dame was probably some other color, right? And you don't get hit, right? So you get to stand back there and feel comfortable. So you don't necessarily you kind of lose that, and that's been my challenge to him is making sure we regain that. And I thought he did a lot more of that today, which was really nice.
Have you started seeing any separation yet in the back of the quarterback battle? I think all the guys have done some good things. I think Callan did some really good things again today. I thought he ripped a couple seam balls, threw some vertical balls. He had a couple guys make some freaky plays for him, which was nice of him, right? But I definitely think he's getting more comfortable running the team. I think Brennan brings some athleticism to the position, which is nice. And then you see Matt continuing to come along. Matt throws the ball really well, so just like to see him continue to progress throughout. The rest of this next week, and then also the season, right? Like his progression shouldn't stop. But I think Cal is definitely, getting better and better and better and more comfortable, which is really nice. But we'll continue with that throughout the week and see where those guys continue. I mean, I think we would play towards their strengths, right? If we were in those situations. So I think different guys bring different things to the table.
How's the wide receiver room coming along?
Well, it's been nice to see Nick running routes this week, and he'll be back out there, just really rocking and rolling, which is really nice. I think DJ being back this week has made some plays down the field. I thought he made one today, had an opportunity to make another. Thought he could have, but he made him this week in practice, which was really nice. So just giving us a little bit more of a vertical threat. And I think he has that big body. He does a nice job of giving a friendly target that way. Shane has consistently been something, shown up every day in practice. But the guys we've talked about before, too, in terms of maybe some guys that you don't always talk about, but Prince, Brock, they consistently make plays. We've talked about Kenny Darby, we've talked about DJ and Shane and Nick, but Brock and Prince have consistently made plays throughout camp. They did again today, so that was great, right? I mean, we're going to need all those guys, and when the ball comes to them, you got to make the play. Prince made some really nice plays today. Brock made a one-handed grab around a guy that was something pretty cool to see. So, but they've done it all camp. I mean, whatever you do in practice, it's what you're doing when we get out here. So, I think the bottom. I don't want to say the bottom, but the depth of that room continues to rise, which is really, really important because we're going to ask those guys to block on the perimeter a lot, right? For us to be an explosive run game, and they all got to be ready to go in that regard.
Coach Stein told us that Mizell's out for the season. Is that why you guys bring in 2 running backs right before fall camp, just because the position is just so brutal? Yeah,
it's a violent position. You get hit consistently, and I think we have to prepare. The thing will be one, right? It's how good is your first 11 to 14 players, but then throughout the season you're going to get challenged based on how your depth is and the development. And one, I think the way we practice, the way we prepare, has allowed a lot of our down the line guys to get a ton of reps, which is critical. And then we'll have to continue that throughout the season. That's why we have, that's why you see staff so big nowadays and all that, right? So those guys can continue to progress. But it's a position that's going to get injured at times, right? And you have to prepare accordingly. But I know I said this earlier. It's been nice to see CJ back out there and rocking and rolling. He's a big man, and I've been proud of him. He's been through a lot. So what he's been able to do and watch him come back this week, he just seems to be having a lot of fun, which is awesome.
Sorry, Jim.
Thank you.
What look does he give you when he's doing his best version of himself?
Well, he's like, what, I don't know, 6'2". I'm not that tall, so like when you get above 6 foot, they all look about the same. But it's like 6'2", 6'1.5", 230. He's just a big kid, and lateral cuts, and he just brings a lot of experience and
presence. He's played a lot of games. Things don't surprise him, which I think is just huge. But that goes along with the physical talent. So I'm excited for him this year. I think he's gonna have a lot of fun. He got some dudes up in front to block for him. Those guys have done a really good job coming together, playing as a group, which has been fun to see.
Joe, other than Jordan Knox, has there been an offensive lineman that maybe wasn't on the radar that's really elevated in this game?
Yeah, I think I referenced Hayes last week. I think also going back and watching the tape from last Saturday, and then we'll see again today. But I think Jaden Clark, Jake keeps coming, which is really good. He's a young guy, and you want to see that happen, right? And I've been excited for that because I think when he was coming off, he dealt with a little. I wouldn't call it an injury back in January, February. So as he went into spring, he wasn't as in shape as he needed to be, and I think he's worked hard. And I think really about the last week of camp or so, he really started to progress and go on the upswing, which has been good. We need that. We need that. And that, again, that just gives us flexibility with Olas too, right? Because Olas is a multi-position player, which is really important.
Joe, another guy that Coach Sloan said, or Coach Stein said it's full go now with Tegra. What does he look like when he's out there? Tegra completely go without him.
Again, like I go back to when you got, Tegra and Colton and Lance and CJ and Nick and Willie and those guys, they've played in a lot of football games with people in the stands. And that's really important because they know exactly how they respond in those environments. And I think Tegra brings that kind of stability. But he's talented. I mean, he is crazy talented. He's violent. He's got good feet. And, I think the challenge to him when he got here was to elevate his game from a consistency standpoint. And I think we've seen him do that. And so it's been good to get him back out there. I'm glad he's fully healthy now and really ready to roll, which has been great for him.
Joe, this far into fall camp, is there a part of the offense that the players have maybe forced you to rethink because they're better than you thought they would be?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think the thing is, right, we'll always tailor to different things that we're good at. And different ways to necessarily complete the football at a high level, but then also different ways to push the ball down the field. We adapt, right? We adapt. I mean, I think the most interesting thing has just been, it probably starts with the run game, what our O-line and our running backs are good at, and then moving back off of that, and then what makes the quarterback feel comfortable. And then the last piece is fitting in where can we now put guys in mismatch situations so that So trying to use the different pieces. And I think watching what receivers come along, which sets do they allow us to get in, and their best out of. So, yeah, I think we continually adjust. And I think that will be something constant throughout the year based on who's healthy, who's available, who's playing well, and trying to put them in the right situations that we can.
Next Saturday, Will said you guys are going to have a mock game day set up. Will that include the way the sideline communicates with the press box and vice versa, all the comms set up and that sort of thing?
It will. The last two Saturdays have been that way. So because, next Saturday will be a little more of a mock game. So the last two Saturdays have been that way. The only thing is what we don't get. The only thing we don't get on scrimmage days is the in-between series communication and the flow of that. Everything else we get because you got to, we have there's a Kentucky offense on the field at all times during these scrimmages. So I just got to keep calling ball plays. So that doesn't change. So that's been really good. And it's important for us, right? I mean, we have a lot of really good coaches here, but a lot of coaches that, it's not like we all came from one place, right? So working together and the communication, which I think has been great. You guys have done a great job, and Coach Stein's been awesome. And obviously he's having to run the flow of the scrimmages, right? So, just having him where we can all talk a little bit more, which will be good. But that's going to happen on game day. But that's natural, right? I mean, we've all done it before.
Last one.
Prince James come up quite a few times this afternoon. What exactly does he bring to the table? And I think you used him in some unique ways in the spring too. Does he have some versatility to him?
He definitely has versatility. I mean, one, he's tough. So he's tough and competitive, and he's available pretty much at all times, right? Which is really important because he keeps getting better. But when the moment come up, and you have an opportunity to make a play, more often than not, he's made the play. And I think that's the thing, right? You get in these pressure situations, and they could be in practice. I mean, we talk about game-like environment and all that, but ultimately, these guys want to be successful in practice too. And gets in pressure situations in practice and it's one-on-one and has an opportunity to make a play, he's continually made plays. And that's awesome. I mean, we need that, right? We need that out of our young guys. And I think we'll continue to see him he's been able to do it on the outside, on the inside, right, and just really move around and create a lot of versatility for us, which I think has been good. You don't always get that necessarily with a young guy. Usually they kind of one position and stick to it. But he's shown the ability to move around, which has been great.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
I don't disagree.
Jay, how'd your defense look to you today?
I think, we got some of the kind of front line guys out pretty early. And I thought early on I was really proud of them. Thought they played really hard. They were physical. We really wanted to see some of the younger guys, some of the next group in players play at a significant amount without some of the veterans. And I think it got a little sloppy there, and we got tired. But all in all, I thought it was a good day. I think it was good work, good film to watch, and happy with where we are right now.
Any of those young guys particularly stand out? I know you said it was a little sloppy there as you got a little tired.
I thought McMillan really stood out. I think we're challenging that kid. He's kind of thrown in the fire a little bit, but really battled. He's had a great offseason. He jumps out at me. I think Cyrus Reyes impressed me today as a communicator. As a leader, just a great kid. And I think he'll play for us. I think he's got a role for us. So I'm excited about him. So those two kind of jump out at me off the start. We were pretty banged up at corner, so some of those corners took a lot of reps, man. That's a hard position to play, 60, 70 plays out there in that heat. So it was good.
You mentioned the corners outside of, kind of being banged up. What are you seeing from those guys and how you feel?
Yeah, look, Alan Brown's a really good coach, man. He's done a great job with those guys. So I feel like we got a lot of depth there. We've had some guys with some nagging things that, kind of happen when you're running like they run. But I think we'll have them all back pretty quickly here, and I think looking forward to those kids playing. And some of them are really fun guys to coach, man. Rod Nichols is a really fun guy to coach. Sykes is a really fun guy to coach. So, some good young players that are going to be good players.
How are your linebackers coming along?
I think we're making progress. I think Grant. I've been really impressed with Grant. Really smart. He was one I wanted to get out early today and kind of see the other guys function without him. He's kind of the decision maker out there a lot. So I thought Bo did a nice job. I think Tavion's coming along. Tavion's super talented, man, super talented. So I just got to get him ready to play. And then I think Antoine's fell into a kind of a niche role where he's going to be able to help us. So I think those first four guys are going to help us. Justin Hartley, the young kid, the freshman, just got here from Alabama. Man, he's a joy to coach. He's going to be really good, but right now I'm not sure he knows there's 11 guys out there. So he's just trying to go out there and play. But he's going to play on special teams, have a role for us, and I'm excited about that kid too.
Coach, I don't know if you talked about this before, but I assume from your answer right there that Grant will be having the green dot on Saturdays.
Yeah, we haven't really decided. I mean, I've always been more comfortable with the linebackers, but man, those two safeties are really smart guys too. So I think we've talked about that. I think we'll kind of see how it goes the next couple of weeks. It might even be a deal game to game. We change it. So, in practice, I've done it with Ty and with Grant, a couple of different practices each way to see. Right now, I've got it on all the linebackers so they can all hear me. Obviously, can't do that during the game, but I think we'll just kind of see how it shakes out.
Jay, a guy that Coach Stein says really stood out with him during camp has been Grant Great, and I was hoping you could maybe speak on what
Grant Grayton, I remember him out of high school thinking, man, this kid might end up being a really good player. He was, really skinny and long. And you're like, man, he might, and then when I got here, I was like, man, he's kind of improved physically. And then I think now you look at him and he looks like what they're supposed to look like in this league. So, physical kid. I think AB's done a great job with him. He's going to play a ton for us. Has a real value. Everybody nowadays, they want to make the corners tackle, and I think he's a really good run defender, boundary corner, big. I like guys like that. He reminds me a little bit of the kid I had last year. I think he's got a bright future, and hasn't played that much. Played a decent amount last year as a true freshman, but I think he's really starting to get in it now, and I'm excited about that kid.
So you've been open about wanting to come here so you had more control over the defense and all those things. as you get close to it, what do you want a Jay Bateman defense to be done?
Yeah, I mean, I think how hard we play, how well we communicate. I think those are the two main things. You know, how physical we are. You know, I think the schematic thing gets blown out of whack a little bit. Like if you play really hard and you communicate and you play physical, I don't know if y'all got to see us today or not, but if you'd have watched the first 10 or 12 plays of us today, you'd say like I'd be pretty happy with that, man. Physical effort. Those are the things I think. Those are like the non-negotiables. So.
Jay, what did you learn from your experience in North Carolina?
Man, that's a great question. I think I learned how to manage people better. I think I can manage people better. I think how to really take a look at what you have and try to fit your scheme around them instead of try to fit your people around your scheme more. And then I think I learned a lot about like dealing with different personalities. And I think I learned, I think you learn your most from failing, right? And so I think I'm a lot better coordinator, a lot better coach now because of that experience.
Coach Stein mentioned the offense coughing it up a couple times, turning the ball over. Obviously, he doesn't like that, but from your perspective,
I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we last scrimmage a week ago. I felt like we had done a really nice job. We had emphasized with them. Coach Stein does a great job with them of like attacking the football and how big of a deal that is. And I felt like last scrimmage we got in the scrimmage and kind of forgot about it. And so we've been on them about that. That's the last thing I showed them in our unit meeting today before we went out there was some NFL clips, some clips of us attacking the football. And I think we we did a nice job attacking the football. The first Jordan Castell had a really nice play, punched the ball out. A couple guys got the ball up in the air, got in a couple interceptions. Did a nice job, I think, attacking the football. And I think that's such a big deal nowadays, right? You got to cause turnovers. So yeah, I was happy with them.
Jay, you've got a couple weeks until you tee it up for real. What are some of the things about your team that you really can't tell until you're facing real opposition?
Man, that's a great question. I kind of want to see like how we're going to respond when adversity hits. Adversity hits in practice. You kind of go to the next period and you kind of reset. So like how we're going to respond when adversity hits. I think how we're going to communicate in front of 70,000+ people. I think those are the main things. And then I think next week's going to be really important for us to kind of go through a week, even though it's not exactly a game week, but like, hey, they're going to be in school now. They got to manage school, like how they're going to manage all that stuff. So that's what I'm most interested in seeing. But I'm pretty confident we got some guys that have played a lot of football that are going to lead out there, and looking forward to seeing them go compete.
Do you have any initial thoughts on tackling? Do you think this team is going to be a good tackling team?
Better be. Yeah. I mean, I think tackling is like the number one skill you have to have as a defender, and yet it's the hardest one to practice because you're scared. You're scared of getting guys hurt. You go watch the NFL practices. They never tackle, right? Like they pay a lot of money to get on the ground. So I think for us, I think as tackling has gone away from day in day out, and Will does a good job of simulating the best we can. I think. We've challenged our kids. I thought we tackled better today than we did last Saturday. The tracking of the football and your approach to the football are so important, and how you drill that. And Will comes across sometimes as like the quarterback guru, offensive guy, but like we practice like a defensive head coach. Like we do tackling, we do physical, we take on blocks, and I think that's a sign of a really, really good head coach. So I think they're prepared to go tackle, and now we got to go do it in a game live for 60, 70 snaps.
Joe has talked about them both scrimmages getting really good movement up front. Is that a tribute to just how good those guys on the O-line have been, or is there something you want to see better from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the way scrimmages work, right? It's like Joe thinks they have good push, and then I get mad, and then I think they don't have good push, and Joe gets mad. So I think we've got some offensive linemen that are really talented kids that if they get you on your heels, they're going to move you. So there's been some times I haven't been real happy with that, to be honest with you, right? And there's been some times I think we've done pretty good. So I think it's the give and take of a scrimmage a little bit.
Speaking of that, what kind of camp is Tavion Gadsden?
Yeah, Tavion Gadsden's a really good player. He probably took too many reps. We got banged up a little bit, but he's a tough kid, won't come out. Like today, I just told him, like, you're out. Like I've seen enough. So pretty confident he'll be able to be an impactful player for us this year.
Coach Bateman, last week we got the news that O'Berry wouldn't be playing this year. So this week, what did you get see from guys like C.J. Works, Lorenzo Cowan, and maybe even Sam Green?
Yeah, I mean, look, I hate it for O'Berry, but those three kids are really good players, man. We were very comfortable with that room. I think Tony's done a great job with Lorenzo Cowan. He's become a powerful player. He's a smart player. I feel really good about those three guys. Sam, I think we've been really smart. I've been around this before where you have a kid who's a really, really good player and he tears his ACL and he comes back and you're trying to push him because you need him. I think our training staff's done a really nice job with Sam. I think he's ready to go. I think we've managed his reps really good, and I think he'll be ready to go for week one. But those three kids are good players, man.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.